Hello and welcome to all. Why do complicated when you can do simple? It is with this popular and universal adage that Khaby has built his philosophy of life. And given the spectacular triumph of the young man, we can only agree with him. The young Senegalese of 21 years is indeed ranked today as the second most followed TikTok account on the planet, and his hilarious little videos sometimes accumulate hundreds of millions of views in less time than it takes to say it. This phenomenal success is accompanied by a real financial windfall for the young artist, who could hardly make ends meet a few months ago. The fees of the young man reach today vertiginous sums, and it is only the beginning. This makes us ask the famous question, but where can Khaby spend all this money? So make yourself comfortable, because that's what we're going to try to discover in this new video. Let's start. We would like to get straight to the heart of the matter and start talking about the millions of dollars that Khaby has made in record time thanks to his videos. But as you know, we are not very materialistic, and we always favor the human being above all. So let's go back to the extraordinary destiny of the young TikToker. Khaby was born in Senegal on March 9, 2000, but he will not grow up in Africa, because his parents emigrated to Western Europe when he was only a few months old. But if you will not really know the beautiful African sun, the young Khaby will have inherited all the same its soft heat and its radiation. Because the little Khaby possessed from his youngest age the gift to illuminate his entourage by playing the clown and repeating the funniest jokes, which he sometimes invented himself. And in a town as gray and dull as Chivasso in northern Italy, it must be said that this gift could cause miracles. Making the people around him happy was a real leitmotif for the young Khaby, and bringing a smile to his parents made them all forget their almost precarious situation. To help his family, the young man did not hesitate to enter the hard world of work very early. At the age of 18, he joined an old factory in the city, where he worked as an operator of an old and archaic machinery with a salary that barely bordered on decency. But the young man did not let himself be defeated, and despite the fateful refrain of the subway, work, sleep, Khaby always kept his great sense of humor and self-mockery. His colleagues turn to him because they know that Khaby is a miracle cure for depression and monotony, and a real magic cure for grief. The young man enlivens with his jokes and mimicry all those around him, and thanks to his innate talents as a comedian, his mini one-man shows have nothing to envy to those of the greatest comedians. Khaby has always secretly dreamed of becoming a comedian or actor, and thus be able to follow in the footsteps of his two childhood idols, Will Smith and Eddie Murphy, two superstars of American comedy, from whom he has often inspired when he wanted to do sketches. So despite the repeated difficult end of the month, Khaby never despaired, and even when the mandatory confinement of 2020 made him lose his job, the young man did not give up. Indeed, instead of moping and lamenting over his dire financial situation, the young artist embarked on a new adventure, and although he didn't know it yet, it would propel him far beyond his wildest dreams. Khaby had just discovered the Chinese video sharing application TikTok, and it was literally a revelation to him. Thanks to TikTok, he could indeed reproduce his little skits and hilarious jokes, but this time for a wider audience. The young man began his TikToker epic by posting humorous videos that were quite banal and did not really reflect the potential and talent of Khaby. But after having made his mark on TikTok, the young man will quickly move to the next level. Khaby will then launch into the video reactions, a genre where he will excel until reaching the consecration. Because with his inimitable mimics and his hilarious parodies, the young artist is going to make a real hit on TikTok, and the videos he publishes begin to garner millions of views. It is literally a tidal wave of his videos that flood the web at a time, so much that they were shared by internet users around the world. The success of these videos is due as much to the grimaces and inimitable facial mimics of the young Senegalese as to his very particular way of conveying his famous message. Why make complicated when you can make simple? The young comedian indeed seizes this philosophy for the least simplistic and uses it to mock the many influencers and authors of videos of tutorials on the internet. The recipe having taken, Khaby is then propelled to the rank of superstar, first in his country of adoption, Italy, then in the rest of the world. The young man accumulates views and followers, going very quickly from a few hundred to several tens of millions of subscribers. This meteoric rise will eventually make him the second most followed account on TikTok, with over 119 million subscribers to date. At times, the account of Khaby could receive several million subscribers per day, which is in itself a world record, never equaled to this day. And it's not only on the Chinese platform that Khaby is causing emulation, because the young man has successfully invested in other social networks, such as on Instagram, where he has more than 56 million followers. Sorry. Such a planetary success could not go, of course, without a massive and constant influx of cash, because we all know fame is often accompanied by fortune. Khaby Lame is now sitting on a nice little fortune, which would amount in all likelihood to more than $2 million. And the horn of plenty is not ready to dry up, quite the contrary, because according to several serious sources, and who are based on calculations and solid estimates, the young influencer could earn up to $50,000 per video sponsorship, or a little over 43,000 euros. Because the brands of all sides and all horizons are ready to pay the most pharaonic sums to associate themselves with the image of Khaby. Even Mark Zuckerberg, the big boss of Facebook and notorious multi-billionaire, called on the young TikToker to lend him a hand in the campaign to promote Meta. Because to highlight his brand new metaverse concept, what could be simpler than to call upon the king of simplicity? Thanks to his unique mimics and his emblematic hand gesture, Khaby Lame will demonstrate how easy it will be to move and interact with his new environment in his new holographic universe conceived by Zuckerberg. With such large-scale partnerships, it is easy to imagine the amount of emoluments of the young Senegalese influencer. Some financial analysts estimate that Khaby Lame could make more than $200,000 a month, which is almost $2.4 million a year. But Khaby's exponential fame has shown us that his incredible record-breaking rise is not yet over, and therefore, any estimate of his income was greatly underestimated. The young man is constantly receiving hundreds of requests for commercial partnerships and sponsorships, and has even had to hire a team of agents to manage all his contracts. And it is also necessary to count on the fact that the young influencer intends to launch a career in the seventh art, to follow the steps of his two idols of yesteryear, Will Smith and Eddie Murphy. Moreover, the charismatic Prince of Bel-Air has already adored him, and it could be that they work on a joint project. His entry into Hollywood will certainly be crowned with success, and the young Khaby could claim the pharaonic salaries of Hollywood stars. And we must not forget that the young Senegalese influencer has already been approached by the giant of global streaming Netflix, which would have proposed in all likelihood a project kept secret for the moment, but which will certainly not go unnoticed at its release. Khaby Lame is a young man who started from nothing, but who was able to triumph and reach the status of a superstar without even having to say a single word. The one who had a hard time with the difficult end of the month is today at the head of a nice patrimony which is only growing as the huge fees are piling up on his desk. Khaby has just signed extremely juicy advertising contracts with very large multinationals, such as the Italian food company Barilla and the gigantic Indian sports platform Dream 11. The amount of the fees has been kept secret, of course, but we can tell you that the number of zeros that appear on them could literally give you a headache. His fortune is made. Now it remains to be seen where he can spend it, isn't it? But the answer to this question is much harder to find than you think, because unlike most influencers of all social networks, Khaby Lame is not a big fan of showing off. The one who has established simplicity as a fundamental concept in life also cultivates a sense of privacy and intimacy. Thus, you will have to search on the internet. You will never find pictures of Khaby on a jet ski in Saint-Tropez or shirtless posing in front of his Lamborghini. Moreover, the young influencer who knew the precariousness during his childhood does not have a car at €1,000,000, and although he moved to Milan, he does not live in a palace of the Renaissance. Khaby Lame is therefore not what one would call a fan of bling-bling, nor a fashionista, and even less a high roller. The young man certainly had to put his family, close or distant, in a definitive shelter of the need, but what he does with the rest of his pretty small fortune remains a literally unfathomable mystery. Indeed, even if his face has become ultra-famous in the world, Khaby Lame has still managed to keep his private life away from the flashes of the cameras, which is a real feat considering his incredible popularity. And where many other influencers would have ostentatiously displayed the fruits of their financial success, Khaby Lame remains extremely discreet. The bad tongues will say, of course, that the young man must be particularly stingy, not to take advantage of the money he has accumulated. But if the fact of indulging in a frenzy of unnecessary and expensive purchases while posting on social networks has become a fashion, it must be said that it does not really interest our friend Khaby. The latter has never been part of this universe from the beginning, and like many people still sensible in this world, he thinks that spending his private life on the internet is an extremely stupid thing. Khaby Lame may earn millions, but he's not the one you'll see spending them on trivia while seeking the approval of his followers. The young Senegalese influencer has sworn never to forget his origins, and even if he is today the captain who turns his own wheel of fortune, he remains humble and very close to his fans. This was how Khaby Lame spends his millions. Do you agree with the way that the young Khaby Lame has decided to live his life and his new fame? Would you have done the same in his place? Tell us your feelings in the comments, and as usual, if you liked this video, don't forget to put a like to subscribe and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and be aware of the next videos. See you tomorrow.